Reincarnation is the great promise religions make to their followers. Throughout the years and history, they use this promise to guarantee eternal life. You, the separate form which you identify with, will continue. It doesn't matter if on this lifetime you will die. You will come back. You will come back and you will live again. So you are eternal because you can come back. And this promise is so comforting because it eliminates your fear of dying. What is the fear of dying? It's the fear of losing this identity and becoming nothing. No one wants to become nothing. We are something. We want to hang on, to cling to this something, to be this something. We cannot believe that the minute that we die, this whole thing, it's like it never existed. So what's the point? So this great promise says, you will continue. This identification will continue. It may be transformed to another shape. It can be another person. If you were a man, you can be a woman or an animal. Or if you have been bad, like a stone or something that will pay for your karma and your sins. But you will never be non-existing, be nothing. Rest assured, everything is okay. You will always be here. And this perpetuates this belief in the identification of the separate form. This is this great hazard. And I know that believing in reincarnation and rebirth is deeply rooted in the spiritual world, and my words are will be different. Because reincarnation is not a possibility. It cannot happen for two reasons. If you follow Simcha's all-nothingness logic, truth that she's trying to convey, there are two parameters that simply don't meet reality through all-nothingness logic or truth. One is time. In order for something to reincarnate, it has to exist, die, and come back. And this process must happen on a linear timeline. So, once upon a time, there was poor little me. I lived, I died. This took 80 years, and then I died. And oops, I went to this place in which there is no time, this holy place, and it sent me to this place in which there is time, and I continued from the point I stopped, just in a different shape. So there has to be a linear line of time. And as I often say, or claim, or shout, there is no such thing as time. There is only one eternal moment. And I think everyone in this spiritual search or belief or writings, books, will agree with me that there is only this eternal moment. So in this eternal moment, there is no concept of time. Nothing can move through this line, so we cannot come back from some kind of place to the future of our past lives. All this history, it simply cannot happen. The second parameter is who is being reincarnated. Who? The separate form. Once upon a time there was poor little me, and I was me. And then I died, and then I went to this place, oneness, in which he decided to send me again. He just changed a little bit cosmetically. the way I looked, but he left me and he sent me. So these two parameters, linear time and character, are false. There is no linear time, there is no character, there is only oneness, emptiness, or nothingness, call it what you will. But nothing can come back because nothing ever really existed. Right now, when you listen to me, you do not exist. So how can you come back to somewhere you have never been? Coming back means you were some place and then you came back to this place. But what happens when you were never in this place? How can you come back to it? It never existed. So you cannot come back. So when you look at this whole process of reincarnation and rebirth, you see that you need these two parameters to be true in order for them to happen. You have to have a linear timeline and you have to have a character. Doesn't matter if it is transformed through the process, but it is still the same. And this is the great promise, as I mentioned, that I will stay. Something from me, the separate form, will stay. So we don't understand, humanity doesn't understand the concept of oneness. Oneness is not built out of separate forms that are holding hands together and creating oneness. Oneness is one. This is it. This is the moment. This is everything you see around you. This is you. This is it. So it cannot have separate expressions, phenomena. And yet it creates one eternal moment through the eyes of the illusion of a separate form. And this is what you see. To go against this belief, this deeply rooted belief, is very radical, because in the spiritual search it is a very loved concept. And I think that Buddhists, I don't know much about them because I've never learned Buddhism, but what I do know is that Buddha promised, I think, that when you are enlightened, self-realized, you will never come back again. And this puzzles me. Of course you will never come back again, because when you realize what you are, you know you were never here, you know that you are not who you think you are, so who is it that will never come back again? We are always this oneness. We are never something else. We are never this separate form. So this promise of never being born again, when you realize what you are, it's very funny. It's a funny thing because it only exists while you hang on to your identification. As long as you identify with your separate form, it is a great promise. I will never come back again. Once you realize what you are, you laugh. Who will come back? I was always never this thing. There is no word in which to come back to, and there is no separation between me and all the phenomena. So everything is fine and has always been fine. It's perfect. So this promise is for the separate form. And I think it's problematic because it strengthens the identification with the separate form. When you believe this thing that you will come back, you cling to your separate form. When in fact, what you need to do is to realize what you are right now, because there is no other time, moment, place other than this present moment, which is everything all at once. Like the movie that won the Oscar. This place, this one eternal moment that presents itself to us, is presenting so much data to this separate form, but it does that on a need-to-know basis. I mean that there is countless, endless, glorious possibilities that you can express this oneness. But it presents itself through the separate form on a need-to-know basis, so it brings the moment, the current moment that you sit in right now, it brings it only the necessary things to create the illusion of the separate form and its world. This all nothingness is so unimaginably, indescribably complicated. It has all the possibilities that each phenomena can express. And I try to describe this. I can't. But because this expression is so unattainable to the mind, oneness narrows it down to data, or I don't know the word, things that the mind can perceive and use to build the illusion of the expression. So it narrows it down and presents it in the present moment. Every moment is new, and in every moment, this eternal moment presents the possibilities, but only the ones that are relevant to the character in the present moment in which he is now. So the character identifies with its story itself through what it gets from this all-nothingness, which is herself, on a need-to-know basis. Just what it needs. So coming back to reincarnation, it's just like thoughts, emotions, and the apparent world that we see and perceive as matter. It never happened. You never lived in another lifetime, died, and came back to this reality. What has happened and what will always happen and what is the only thing that's happening is this current moment, and in this current moment nothing happens. But in the world of possibilities and ideas, for the character to build a story in the present moment, it presents a story, and in the story there can be some kind of evolution that was created by living in past lives. Of course it's a possibility. Just like the stars in the sky are a possibility, or things we don't know even exist after the stars in the sky, and everything we don't know, which is endless. So, of course, that in the story can be an evolution, and you can say that the character, this character, is more evolved spiritually because maybe she has passed, she took many lessons. Reincarnation happens and doesn't happen because it is exactly opposite of what humanity is perceiving as real. Humanity believes that we are in the present moment, that we live in the present, because everyone you will ask, and if you will ask yourself, where are you now? You will say, this is now. I'm not living in my past. I'm not living in my future. I'm living in the present moment. This is reality. This is the present moment. But what humanity perceives as true is this, that this present moment followed another present moment, that there is a consistency of present moments that happens one after the other. So when we remember our past, we lived our memory in the present moment of the past. So it's a linear process. You start here, you were in the present moment and this happened, and then you moved to the next present moment and it happened, and now you reached this present moment. But everything that has happened in the present moments before has happened because you were there, you were in those present moments. And so you can believe that you were reincarnated because you can try to trace what you were in previous lives, and you can understand who you are now and your talents and your spiritual development through your reincarnations and where you are now. So you believe, and humanity believes, that it comes from somewhere and it has happened and it reached this point of eternal moment. When what really happens is that there is only this eternal moment. There was never a moment before it. So you could not have lived in the past, and you never lived another life other than the expression you see right now as your identity, as your separate form. When you look at your separate form right now, it offers you some kind of guidelines who you are, and it tells you a story. And the story changes in itself, within itself, not through time, through the choices that you make inside the moment. And reincarnation and being alive before this time is only part of the story, just like your memories. Just like memories never happened. What you remember never happened. Just like what you feel, there is no one that feels it. In the same way, you were alive before this lifetime. Just in the story, just in what oneness wants to present to you in this specific moment, it narrows it down to these suggestions of what you are, who you are, this separate character. It's so unique. So for it to be unique and for you to believe it, it creates an entire history, this life's history, and it can create past lives' history, and you can access it through, I don't know, channeling or meditating on it, but they are unreal as everything else. They never happened. So I say there is a possibility that in this endless possibilities that this oneness presents itself every second, it presents the possibility of past lives and all the information that the character gained through this experience. Wonderful. It is a beautiful way to characterize the character, to build the character, to make it complete. It has lived as a peasant 400 years ago, and now it knows everything she puts in the ground grows and blossoms because she has this knowledge in the tips of her fingers. So it's a wonderful concept and idea, but it never happened. It cannot happen to a different character because there are no different characters. Oneness is one. It is not built out of separate phenomena all piled up together. So your specific, unique life story and all your special attributes are one with everyone else's in such a way that it doesn't matter, and it will never hold on to itself in the bright light of pure knowledge, because the bright light of pure knowledge and awareness is this thing itself without any kind of identification. So the past lives of the cat are intertwined with your past lives, of the curtain that moves in the wind. It's the same thing it's the same building of the experience of the experiencer. It only has one purpose: expressing itself fully. And it needs to create a grand illusion, and it does. And inside this grand illusion, it uses these tools: emotions, matter, memories, past lives. Why not? Why not in the story? Just like in a book, you will write to further deepen the character, to make us understand the character. You will write something about this character, something that influences its behavior right now. This description is only relevant to its behavior right now because there was never another moment. Never. So looking at it the right way, the direct way of what is the present moment, eliminates the possibility of ever being another one, of ever you being different, separate, something that was reincarnated and became this thing that you are now. It couldn't have happened. The information is there, it is this oneness. All this information, hard, so hard to describe in words, because the endless sky and the stars, and when you think about space and its infinite nature, it is nothing compared to the complexity of possibilities offered to the separate form in the present moment to express itself. It is, I don't have words for it, but it only shows you the things that you need to know. Like I said, it's on a need-to-know basis. Just in this present moment, who are you? What is making this character itself? And in the story, sometimes past lives is part of the story. So when you take away from the character this great comfort that it will never die, it will always continue in some way or another, you limit the character to believing in the identification and preventing it from seeing its true nature, which is endless, borderless, infinite, quiet, empty. This is the true nature, but promising that this separate form will transform itself and come back ties you to the character. And there is no need, because the whole purpose of reincarnating, I think, is correcting something, making something right and learn the lesson. And then something will happen and you will be salvaged. But the truth is, there is only one moment in which you can correct things, in which you can realize who you are. And it's never in our next life. It's always here. It's always this moment. This is true salvation, realizing this moment, realizing what we are, not depending on who we were and how we acted and what will be next, or maybe I'll do it next lifetime. We'll meet on the next lifetime. We will meet on this lifetime. We will do anything on this rare opportunity, because this moment, if you have a lifetime, you were born and you died when you were 80. And so you have one moment in this life which you recognize as an opportunity of a lifetime. This wonderful, great, big opportunity, it's perfect. And when you have this once in a lifetime opportunity, you should take it with both your hands and follow it through. So this present moment, our existence right now, is the opportunity of a lifetime, because it is the only way we can influence the story and complete it. And when I say influence and complete it, it's to reach the state of understanding fully who we are, to self-realize, to be enlightened. This is a great salvation for the character that understands she never existed. So this is the opportunity of the lifetime. This is the time now. We can do it right now. All the possibilities are inside this present moment, and our actions affects it, because it will present us everything according to our development. So even our past lives can be shaped and transformed if we act in this present moment. Our memories, our past lives, they can get the meaning they had in the story when the character acts like it should have, like it should. So there can be no reincarnation in this reality, because there is nothing in this reality. This is a great big silent, empty, compassionate thing or nothingness. No one to move through it. Only one thing, this thing. This great promise that reincarnation promises us, that we will never perish, that we will always exist and return, can be replaced with another promise. We will never return because we were never here. We don't have to come back because we never left. And we don't have to continue existing because we will always exist as what we really are, this great, big all-nothingness, wonderful, non-existing, live, nothing.
Nothing good, nothing bad, nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing stillborn or lost, nothing further than proof, nothing wilder than you, nothing older than time, nothing